Hello and welcome to City Trekker. My name's Adam, and today we have a special interview with Michele Fasano from Attitude Supply. Let's check it out. Michele Fasano. Michele, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I'd love to hear a bit of your story of, the path that led into you starting Attitude Supply and getting into this craft. What were the things that led up to this happening for you?
Actually, in my early mid-20s, I started traveling a lot, backpacking actually a lot in Middle East and North America and Southeast Asia. I've always been into gear. Let's use this, huge label. I've always been into gear and always been an outdoorsy guy. So uh, always looking for the perfect whatever, the perfect jacket, pack, funny pack, sling. And actually, traveling was a good chance to note down the things that I didn't like in gear. I mean, the gear that I could afford back then, of course. Uh, so I started thinking that maybe I should have made my own, but I had definitely no skills, no design skills, let alone business running skills. Um, so when I settled back in Italy, I started a company, and I started with the easiest thing. So I started just making t-shirt and streetwear stuff, um, t-shirts, sweaters, caps. It was really, really, really useful because it gave me the chance to start actually running a small business without getting too much involved into expensive products. But that was not my thing, actually. I mean, the fashion system, I just like it, and it, I didn't even experience it properly because I just print the t-shirts and sell them by consignment in my local stores. So it just wasn't for me. Um, I started making the first. Actually, I remember the first sack pack. It was like a cinch bag, the one you use at gym for shoes. Um, I designed one. It was two tones made with Cordura, 30 deniers on the upper side, and 500 on the under that. And it sold actually like I made 30 for friends. Uh, so I started thinking that I should move that direction. Uh, there was a friend of mine who was able to sew. We started making pieces together, and I found a manufacturing partner here in Milan. They were definitely not able to make what I had in my mind, and I was not actually able to design it, actually. So I went back and I decided that I had to start from my skills. I could sew a bit, but I did a class to design with AutoCAD, and it worked actually. In that moment, I realized I was able to put at least in a file or on paper the ideas I had, and the ATD1 was there actually, because the first specs that I did, the companion, it was. I will make it again in the future. I really would like to, at least like a small batch. Um, I I realized that I was able to put in a file or on paper my ideas. Um, I actually build up uh, the first prototype, and then I was able to find a production partner, a manufacturing partner. It was a long quest, and then we arrived to the AT1 as we all know it. This was the actual begin. I called the previous part a warm up, or 5 years warm up.
Yeah, wow. Well, and then, when you released the ATD1, that pack was very well received and it was very different than a lot of other things out there on the market, right? And especially, the key difference being the expandability of that bag. So you can compress it down really small, you can expand it really large, and so it can work as a travel bag or as a daily EDC bag, really depending on how you use it. Can you describe a little bit of what that was like for you once you released it and had such positive feedback from users. What was that all experience like?
Uh, this is a this is a wide question. So the first feedback was the one that I gave to myself about the product. So as soon as I had it, as soon as I had it finished, I realized that the this idea of having one pack for small packing needs that could expand to accommodate a large load, or to serve in long travels. That was an idea, but when I had it in my hands, I realized it was unique. And actually, I think this was the winning ingredient since the beginning, because the ATD1 was really like nothing before, uh, in terms of function, not quality. Of course, there's plenty of great packs around there, uh, but in terms of function, it was unique. No one did that. A league of its own, as some users said. And this was really, really, really pleasing, of course, and rewarding, because I think this was the reason why the first users decided to trust basically an unknown brand run by an unknown guy from Italy, never been famous for sports packs. So I think they decided to trust and fund the project because it was unique. Then they could touch it and see the almost paranoid quality of the construction, um, the flawless building of the pack, and all the good and bad sides of the design. Of course, it's not perfect. I hope I will never do a perfect pack, otherwise, job will be finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing. So going back, rewinding a little bit, the first thing that I noticed it was that it was unique, and I think this was noticed by the first customers as well. And this was the reason why they did trust an unknown brand with a new product. Uh, Basically, um, the hardest thing with the HD1, I think the hardest thing with my design, actually, it's try to it's trying to sell something that is expensive, because it is expensive to be made, actually, but it's aesthetically conceived to don't attract attention, because that was the point of the ATD1. I wanted it to be a cool pack that can be noticed by the cool guy in, I don't know, in New York, underground, in the New York subway. But at the same time, if you travel into Indian or Nepali countryside, it's not flashy. It will not attract unwanted attention. So basically, the hardest point was to convince people to spend that money for something with a high quality, but that looked like that. And the fact that it looked like that was actually a feature of the design itself. So the thing that it was unique was convincing. I think this was the first reason why the early customers came and trusted the project, founding it and allowing me to go on.
So that bag was in Cordura, but you did make 10 of them in VX21, correct?
Yeah, run, actually.
Right.
Run, second production run, we tried.
Well, I like the VX21.
They sold out in 10 minutes. Oh, you
Yeah.
have the first version, right?
Yeah. So the first 10 that came out, I bought one off of a guy in Florida. And so I have one of the first 10 that are made in X-Pack. And I love it. It's great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't have one.
You don't have one? You should make one.
Yeah, I should. I always tell to myself, when I'm less busy, I will make one. Maybe not black, because I just wear white and black and use all black everything, like
Mhm.
Taylor would said. But yeah, I will have to do that, because I don't have any bag, I think, in X21. Yeah, maybe a tote
Yeah.
bag.
You have a tote bag, right?
Yep. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's actually made in Xpac.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that one too. I've gotten everything you've put out.
Cool. This is awesome. Thank you very much for supporting.
So you came out with the ATD1, and really that was the only bag you had for a long time. And
Yeah.
a lot of time passed, and then you came out with a bunch of smaller products all at once. You know, pouches and the small sling. I've got this one here. I use pretty regularly, and I love it. I use it like a pouch inside of my backpack, but then in the front pocket, I'll keep a strap. And so then I can attach a strap to this. And if I'm going to lunch and I want to take my iPad and a few things, I'll just take this.
That it was a sense.
You know, it's got some great organization on the inside of this, but it fits an iPad mini, which is just excellent. And so I think any pouch this size needs to fit an iPad mini, you know, just practically. So yeah, I like this a lot. Now I know you can hang this on the inside of the bags and stuff. I don't typically do that. I just throw it in like a pouch. But yeah, so you came out with these. You came out with the tote bag. What was the process like working on multiple items? You know, doing the design and everything, getting them all to production, where you're not just working with one product, but you got multiple products that all kind of work with each other. So what was that like?
From a design point of view, it was really liberating. From a production point of view, it was a mess. But we need to speak about the context. So basically, my website just had just the ATD1 uh, for a couple of years actually. Um, we arrived to the third production run, but with no other items. What happened in 2020? It happened that we had a huge lockdown in Italy. I think we were the first country outside of China to have it. Yeah, definitely we were the first, and it was long. So for a couple of personal reasons, I was not in my place. Actually, I spent the first wave. It was 3 months, 3 long months of lockdown at my parents' place for a series of personal reasons. I don't want to bore the listeners with. So I spent it there in my teenager's room as a grown-up man. So I had plenty of time and not so much to do actually. So I took all the design that I uh, just sketched it, just started and never ended, and then I just started working on it or working on them. And while I realized that just after the lockdown, people would have needed small items to start back from the beginning of exploring, starting from your neighborhood, starting from your city. Lockdown was really different across the world, but where I am, the first wave, I mean, from say March to June, that was a real lockdown. I mean, we couldn't go out. We go out just to buy food, and everybody was scared, so you didn't go out. Actually, if you live in the city, if you live in the countryside, people went out a little bit more, but in the city, we just didn't go out. So I realized that after that, people would have needed small items to start back exploring, the local park, the city, and the surrounding areas, and then they're cheaper to be made. That was the other reason. So I started saying, okay, I should make some. I should make like a sling or maybe a tote or maybe the flat pouches. Then I just said, okay, let's just risk and let's just make them all. So I decided to make them all together. Actually, they're all made of X-Pack, so it made sense to buy the same materials.
Hmm.
For all it was, to save money. Um, on a productive side, it was a mess because it was they were all made still during the COVID emergency in Italy. So the factory had to shut down 3 or 4 times because for the Italian law, if one worker was positive to a swab, he had to stay home for 15 days. and so I had to do the workers who were in tight contact with him. And my manufacturing partner, they're just two. So if one had COVID, they had to shut down completely. So they shut down, I think, 3 times for 15 week each. So it was really, really hard and messy, and supply chain was a mess as well. So actually, each time I saw his name on a mobile phone, I was thinking, okay, what's the bad news now? So that was crazy, actually. And then it's people don't realize that, but also when you have a finished design and you have the final sample and you know where to go and you exactly know what to do during production, messes just happen. So maybe you have to do some small changes, or maybe that trimming doesn't fit, because maybe it fit when you do one piece, but it doesn't fit into the production. So imagine these four items, 2 to 4 sizes. That was a mess, actually, but actually really rewarding because it brought customers back to the brand after these strange time we all lived in, and it prepared the field for the fourth production of the ATD1 that we did just after it. So I will keep doing small items. I had fun doing it. I will never, never, never release and launch 3 models together. Never again.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a lot of work. And then after that, you started working on the ATD2,
Yeah.
this guy right here. So I've been testing this for the last month or so, and so some of the designs for the tote bag, the pouches, pretty simple designs, right? But then when it comes to the ATD2, have a much more complex design. In some ways, you're scaling down the ATD1 and making a smaller bag that's very similar, but there's also design changes that are happening with this bag. Can you talk about the process of designing, testing, and producing this bag?
Yep, definitely. So basically, there are two. You can read this product on 2 levels, 2 different levels. Um, the more superficial one will tell you that we just scaled down the ATD1. That's because we did it. Actually, the first reason why I designed the ATD2 was to make a smaller pack. So basically, I did scale down the ATD1. Um, I realized that it was really crowded with the closing on sites as the ATD1 has, which is good on the ATD1 because it can be locked on top. It's really useful for a travel pack if you need to check it in and maybe you don't expect it. But on the ATD2, the ATD2 is the smaller bag, is conceived to stay with the traveler, to be brought in the cabin. So actually, we didn't need that. And we needed a faster access, a quicker access, and less crowd on the back. So a stealthier look. I just did the tote bag. I experienced making the rigid roll top with feedlock buckles. So I just thought, okay, let's try to make it. The first ATD2 prototype doesn't have that roll top. It has the roll top like the ATD1,
Okay.
which is, yeah, I still have it. My girlfriend uses it like every other sample that I have. But from the second iteration, we decided also with the production to use the roll top with just one strap, and I think it's great on that path. I think it's the email that I received the most in the last months. Will you use the same closure on the ATD1? No, I will not, because the ATD1 has another use and it doesn't make sense actually.
Mm.
But it makes a lot of sense on the ATD2. But that's not the only difference. I think if we go on a deeper level, and I know you're really deep when you analyze bags, you will see some small design changes, like we rounded the bottom, we raised some points, some stitching to avoid uh, corners where many stitches ended, because they could be weaker points. I mean, we have zero zero broken bags on our record. We're making bags for us. We've been making bags for years with the same manufacturing partner, which is a great result. But we still wanted to improve, so we uh, completely changed it. The design details to avoid these corners. Um, there are small difference with a careful side. You can see them, and they were, I admit it, they were tests for the upcoming ATD1 review that we are going to make. Just after this pack, we're gonna launch the fifth run for the ATD1, and it's gonna see massive changes. Some were tested a year, but not the closure, not the closure.
Okay.
A lot of people just ask me, when you make just one strap closure on the ATD1, it wouldn't make sense because I think the opening of the ATD1, I can fit in, so
Right,
it
right,
wouldn't make sense. And I think it's cleaner like this. For a urban pack, it's better. It's less crowded. Also, sites are less crowded.
right. Well, and there's roll top bags like this that they stick out and they have like wings on the sides because of the way the roll top is, and so the way you've kind of tucked in the roll top, I think it makes the bag look a lot nicer. Yeah, and the Fidlock V buckle
Stiffener,
is a nice touch
it's
too.
a stiffener
Yeah,
length. Exactly.
yeah, but I like how it just kind of tucks in a little bit right there, so that it's not really wide
And the
sticking out
nice
on the
thing is that
sides.
it doesn't taper, actually. It looks like it tapers, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
You have the full width on the opening, on the lid.
right.
The front compartment was completely inherited by the ATD1. There was really no reason to change it. I I thought about a little bit more organization. Actually, it's more urban. It's more suitable for office, so it could have made sense. But the front compartment was one of the ATD1 parts who received more compliments. Actually, it's simple and it's effective. So the kind of organization that I use, it's made of big pockets where you can put things or you can put pouches with things inside. So it made sense to just let it as it was. The back panel was completely revised. The rolling luggage handle channel was introduced. There will be no channel in the ATD1. Second question that I received the most lately, because the ATD1 is the rolling luggage killer. So they don't go together. They don't want to go
Right,
together.
right.
It's a bit
Yeah.
wrinkle, but it's still funny to do that. It made sense on the other end on the ATD2. Um, we're still making some changes. Actually, also thanks to your feedback, you made me notice that it's a little bit low. It could be raised a little bit or elongated a little bit, which is the same basically. So we are working on a small mod on the production model. But still, yeah, it looks like a small AT1. If you look on a superficial side, it has hidden differences.
Yeah. So talk to me about the material choice. So this EPLX 600, it's a unique choice. EPX 600 is getting used a little bit more, and we're seeing that in some bags. And this is the EPLX 600. What does the L stand for, and why did you decide to go with this material for the bag?
Okay, so long story short, the difference is the backing. The version that is more widely used, um, it's a sandwich with 4 layers. Let's do the homework. So it is a 600 deniers polyester canvas. It has the X-ply behind it. It has a thin foil behind it, and a taffeta or a lightweight fabric to back it. The version that I used, which is actually the same version that I used with X-Pack when I used it on bags, it lacks the last layer, so it has a slightly thicker foil, but no as a backing, but no fabric as an additional backing. So it only has uh, 3 layers. I did it just for one reason. for two reasons, actually. The first one is that my bags are usually fully lined, so there is no need for a fourth backing. I usually line all the bags that I do in all the parts. Usually, front. Many brands, they make front compartments or pockets that are not lined. I usually try to line everything. I also wanted to line um, the frame sheet, the frame sheet pocket, but my manufacturing partner said I'm crazy. But I wanted to line that one as well because it slides better. But anyway, I lined my bag, so actually there was no need for the fourth layer for the last backing. And the second reason is that in that version the foil is slightly thicker, so it has a little bit more. I mean, we're speaking really about a little bit more puncture resistance and waterproofness. This is the point. We actually the decision to go with challenge safe cloth, uh, it was made because I don't know if you know, or maybe if it's widely known by the person behind these line of fabrics. It's exactly the same behind the X-Pack line of fabrics. Uh, I mean, the guy is exactly the same, just change of country. So he wrote me. I think he wrote all the companies who used X-Pack. Um, I was sent a catalog. Then I require some swabs, some samples. I will actually release a post on the company website blog uh, about this. I've been spending the last 10 years. I'm including the clothing part of the company's history, attending expositions, visiting waivers. I had never found a polyester fabric with a pleasant head end. They're usually dry, and they look and feel, but especially feel cheap. Um, and these made the old outdoor and travel gear industry move toward nylon and think that polyester is not a good option. Polyester is actually a great option as a material itself. Sometimes it's even better than nylon. It's just woven. It's just cheaper to be made cheap. I don't know if it's clear, but it's easier to make cheap fabrics with it compared to nylon. And entry level nylon versus entry level polyester, nylon will never win, of course. But actually, the material itself is great. It has unique features. And when I found that somebody was able to work it so good, and it was so really environmentally friendly because it was recycled, 100% recycled, not that greenwashing thing like recyclable. It was recycled, actually, 100%. The fabric, the X-ply, the foil, also the backing on the other version that I didn't choose to use. So actually, it was so easy when I had in my hand to opt for it. And there is another small thing that I like it more. The X-ply is thinner compared to X-pack, for example, which it's better because the X-ply is the joint of the X-ply is where X-pack wears. The challenge say cloth multi-layer fabric, they have a slightly thinner X-ply layer, so it's really better on the abrasion resistance side. So it was easy.
Yeah. Well, I really like it. So I have another backpack in EPX 600. I've got this small pouch in EPX 600, but I like this material even better. I feel like the EPX 600, it attracts more like dust and hair, and so the EPLX 600 feels a little bit smoother, and it doesn't attract fuzz as much. Challenge Sailcloth is doing some really interesting things with materials right now, and so I love that they're coming out with stuff like this, and pioneers like you are trying it out on bags so that we can experience it as users. And I really love this material. So you mentioned that you're doing the fifth production of the ATD1. Are you going to stick with the materials that you've used in the past, or are you going to try something new? And can you say what that is?
Okay. I was expecting this, and I was thinking about answering or not during the day. No, actually, okay. I actually love Cordura. The feeling it has, the resistance it has, it is field tested, battle proof. I really like it as a fabric to make packs, and it's so easy to work with it. It's also so easy to get it, actually, to get good quality Cordura everywhere in the world. I mean, um, but the experiment I did with the ATD2 uh, told me that I can finally find an environmentally friendly fabric that has quality. I'm a geographer. I'm not a designer, even if I'm a geographer who designs bags. That's what I say usually. I'm not a designer. I've been traveling a lot into developing countries. I know what plastic waste can do on the environment, and especially on communities who live in the environment. Um, the damage that we can do with plastic. So I really, 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 I've been really struggling for years, um, thinking about the fact that I have a company that makes uh, packs with synthetic fabric, ship ship it internationally, individually. So definitely not a green business at all. Um, so now that I found a green option, what can I tell you is that I'm not sure I'm going to use the same fabric. What I'm sure is that I'm trying to stick to these kind of options. But Cordura has some. They had some in the past as well, but I didn't like the feel of the fabric. But maybe they did it better now. I still need to see them. X-Pack has options now, of course. Uh, so I will have to touch these options, see the feeling, and if they work, I'm open. Otherwise, yeah, otherwise I'll stick to this one, to the last one. But what I really want to point is that I'm not going back from these kind of options. Now their options are there, and that quality and durability are not something that you have to compromise to get there. I think it's a responsibility for a company owner to go that direction, and I feel it is for me.
Yeah, that's great. And I love the EPLX 600. So if you want to use that, that'd be fine with
With
me.
me, I'll be honest. Uh, an issue uh, in Europe with that because actually, Challenge Say Cloth make makes and stocks that fabric in the US only. So having it shipped here, it's quite expensive.
Mm.
Well, on the other side, with the Dimension Polyant, they had a branch in Germany. So it was easier to get the fabric. But as I said, um, the green side of the choice is something I'm going to stick to. So, and actually, Challenge Safe Cloak, it's doing great in that game. So
Yeah.
you will see more in my collab.
Okay, great. Well, you've been doing this for years, and some of it's hard work. What continues to motivate you and drive you to continue to produce new products?
Seeing people who actually travel with my bags. That's it. Really. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe you know, but I have another job, um, a satisfying job, also economically. So, um, I mean, and in a company is even more satisfying. It stacks up, so it's good. But actually, the biggest part of the satisfaction is the biggest satisfaction ever is reading comments um, of happy customers, receiving email from happy customers, and when they when they're happy about the product, about the quality, it just feels, 100% great. But when they show pictures of them traveling with them, it just, go over 100%. That's why I designed them. There is this customer, I cannot make names, of course. He's from Sweden or Norway. I really don't remember. He has an ATD1 from the first run. It actually was full of defect. It had stiff stiff webbing. Uh, it was not easy to adjust because the webbing was so thick. It was just a mistake in the supply chain. But it still has that pack, and he did heavy mods on it, like side pockets, uh, straps to change it, and he uses it for everything. Also for camping, also for wildlife observing. So these are the things that push me.
Yeah, that's great. Well,
It means it's working.
Michele,
It means it's working.
exactly, yeah. And I mentioned like I've got this pouch in basically in any bag that I'm using, and I really love your stuff, and you're making really practical products that get used on a daily basis. And so I just want to say on behalf of the carry community, just thank you for doing what you do and continue to push through, the tough times, the challenges that, COVID presented, and the challenges of just continuing to move forward in the same kind of thing. It's not easy. And so thank you for the work that you do. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining us here today. I really appreciate your time. And so thank you so much.
Thank you again for inviting me. Thank you for the support and also for the job you do, not just with me, of course, but pushing small companies and helping products to get out there, to get to the people that wants them, that may need them. It's an important part of this community. So thank you too.
All right. Well, thanks, Michele. You have a great evening, and thanks so much for your time. Take care.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Ciao. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this interview. And if you did, please click the like button down below and subscribe to the channel to check out all our future reviews. Thanks so much, and take care.